Hello and welcome to African Living Abroad. I am Jamhuri, and as always, I'm here to share my international experiences, build bridges between cultures with the hope of making the world a better place. Today is a very, very special day, September 12th, and that is the time that I came to Canada 37 years ago in 1986 as a foreign student, or others like to call an international student. That is a very long time. And I did not, it's about 37 years ago, but I didn't spend all those years in Canada. After 5.5 years of being a student in Canada, I left and lived in Germany for 11 years. So I've been doing the math, and I have been in Canada for 26 years in total. And so I've been thinking about that journey that brought me to Canada. I am reporting from Manitoba, the community in Manitoba, the countryside, a very small village of Rosebank, because I grew up in the countryside in Kenya. I am a country girl, proudly a country girl, and I survive better in the countryside. I'm more creative in the countryside. I just love quiet, solitude, and a lot of wide spaces. And so I have tried to live in a city in Nairobi for 2 years, and it didn't do me well. I have lived in Winnipeg for about 4 years. It didn't do me well. My heart always yearned for the countryside. So when I landed in Canada 37 years ago, on September 12th, 1986, I landed in British Columbia, and my destination was a small college in now Abbotsford, but at that time it was called Clearbrook. So I attended a college called Columbia Bible College, which is still functioning right now. And so in this, I've just been thinking I want to do series about my life in Canada from the time I came and how I survived all those 37 years. And I would say really that all the challenges that I had at that time, looking back, they helped me to mature as a person. And I would like to say that moving out of your country as a young person, because I was very young, you grow up really, really quickly. And even though you're looking for freedom, because that's the thing that got me out of Kenya to come to Canada. And there are many reasons why students leave their home countries to come and study, or to go and study in foreign countries. Some like the adventure, or some they like a better education, because in their own countries the opportunities are not there. The competition is just too high for universities. I would just say my story was inspired by my geography studies in high school. And at that time we did not have computers, we just had a textbook. And what helped me a lot was is that I'm a pictorial person. I learn better by seeing pictures. And if there are no pictures to be shown, then I create pictures in my own head. And that's what happened. So I dreamed about Canada, and we were learning about British Columbia, about the logging industry, and also about Winnipeg, Manitoba, as an example of one of the coldest places on earth. And at that time, it was very hot in that classroom, and I was dozing off and on. And I longed for this coolness, this cold place. And I remember at that time, I said, I wish I could go and experience these cold places. Like, wow, it must be very good to experience winter. And I would say be really careful what you wish for yourself, because it manifests. And I manifested that. And later on, I'm also going to tell you about my life in Germany, because around that time, I also wished to go and see the Alps, to see the Rhine River, because that's what we learned about in geography. And I have also manifested that, and I ended up in a city through which the Rhine River ran. So I want to focus today about my trip to British Columbia. And some of you foreign students that are preparing to leave your home country, and it is flying. If you're flying for the very first time, it is very exciting. And as soon as you get into that plane, it's a whole new thing. You don't know anybody. And I had to observe what people do, where people put their bags and their carry-ons, and how they eat their food. And, you need to go to the washroom. How do you do that? And I learned very, very quickly to ask questions, to ask the cabin crew where to find everything. And when we landed, because coming to Canada took about 2 days of flight, and you have to change your planes from one country to another. For instance, coming from Kenya, I had to change my plane at Heathrow Airport in London, UK, and it was very, very overwhelming. I grew up a country girl. Okay, I lived in a big city, Nairobi, but going international is a whole other story. But I learned very quickly to go to the information desk and to ask for help, where to connect, or also ask other travelers, because when you're sitting next to someone, you cannot be quiet the whole time, the whole 2 days. So if you're smart enough, which I believe you are, ask questions, ask where to get what, because the people you are traveling with, many of them have traveled many, many times, and they are experts in that. I will just tell you a joke, actually. One of the things that I found really difficult when I arrived at Vancouver Airport in British Columbia was coming down the escalator with my suitcases. That was really scary. I'd never been on an escalator before. And you should have seen me going down the escalator. I was so scared, putting one foot down, up and down, and then off, and then staying there. And then I just watched how people did it. And then I managed it. And when we arrived in Vancouver, it was very late. I think it was 10 p.m. And I was 2 days late. So my college had no idea that I was arriving late. So I asked at the information desk, if I could call the college, and someone came to pick me up, and that was about 45 minutes drive to college, and I slept the whole way. And when I got to college, I just hit the bed, and I slept for 12 hours. I remember that. And when I got up, I was very, very hungry, and there was nobody in sight in the dorm. And I stepped outside. There was nobody to ask for information. I dressed up, and I just stumbled into the building and asked my way out, landed in a classroom. I was really lost. And so I would say that is how my life began 37 years ago, as a very visible minority, because I learned from that day on there was no other black girl or there was one black person, a Kenyan student. And I want to say hello to Imbenzi if you're watching this video. And he was a third-year student, and first years and third years never really, mixed a lot. And I had to learn very quickly how to find my way through. I found that I was the only girl, African girl, in the dorm, in the dining hall, in the classroom, in the choir. And when students went for a walk and I went along, I was the only black girl in the community. And later on in the church, I was the only black girl. And that was really not easy for me. And I think the thing that was challenging for that time was also the students were not used to a black girl, a black person nearby maybe. Um, and those in my classroom, everybody wanted to touch my hair and comment on my hair, and they thought my hair looked like sheep hair or wool. And they touched my skin and they say I'm soft like a baby's bum. And I felt, how did I feel? I don't know. I wasn't offended, but until later on when the questions came along, people asking so many questions, and I realized that a lot of Canadians do not understand Africa. All that they learned about Africa was through TV, and a lot of those was very negative. Think about those ads about starving people and a lot of flies on the flying on their faces, and nobody really knew how beautiful Africa was. And I think that is what really offended me the most, is how can people not know? But I did not really know about that. They didn't learn that about geography until much later on, that they were not being racist against me. They were ignorant, ignorant. From that time on until now, and like many other immigrants, I think we become teachers, sharing our experiences, correcting a lot of misinformation, and you get really, really tired, but it pays off. It pays off. So other than that, I would say I really enjoyed being in British Columbia. Around this time, it was autumn or fall, and I was really impressed by the colors, by the bright, maple leaf trees, huge leaves, orange, red, brown. I'd never seen anything like that. And until today, fall or autumn is my favorite season. As you can see here, this is Manitoba. Fall season is very slow because it's cooler here. It's cooler than BC. So the warmer the province, the faster the seasons change, and it shows. And one of my favorite flowers at that time that I saw everywhere in the malls, in the supermarkets, are the bright chrysanthemums, bright yellows, oranges, pinks. And British Columbia is very close to my heart. And the reason I moved to Manitoba was, after 2 years in that college, I needed to proceed. I should have returned home to Kenya at that time, because that's how long I had planned. But I became very curious to learn so much about Canada, so much opportunities to learn. And I thought, after I'm done with it, I'm going to go back. And studying in British Columbia was very, very expensive. So one of my teachers or professors recommended that I move to Manitoba because she said it's the cheapest province to study in. And I landed in Manitoba, and I got a big shock. And I believe that I will share that in the future about my life in Manitoba, the big shocker, and all the things I went through as not knowing how to handle winter and the effects of winter in my life. And I'm just going to tell you that I froze my feet that year. It's not fun. So up to today, my feet are very, very sensitive to winter, but I have learned how to cope with it, how to handle myself in winter. So this is to the 37 years of landing in Canada, and I want to thank the Creator, the divine Creator, for the guidance, for the support, for the healing, for the provision. I mean, all those tough times of growing up really, really quickly, which I would say I was running away from home, from Kenya, because I spent 4 years in a boarding school. It was very restrictive, and I have discovered that my life, the thing that I yearn for the most is freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of living peacefully and being whoever I want to be, which at this point I have arrived there. I can be whoever I want to be. I can say whatever I like to say. And but the cost of freedom, there is a cost to being free, because you have to manage yourself, you have to manage your finances, and there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people, that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never learned as young people. And there are a lot of things that we never lear moving into a new country. We just come here and we see things, we want to buy things, we want to do that because we see our Canadian classmates doing that. And we become broke very, very quickly. And then that is a problem. That's one of the things that would hit you very quickly and can cause you a big depression. So if you would like to hear more about life in Canada, and if this video has entertained you even a bit, you know what? Just give it a like, subscribe to it, and share it. And please, in the comments, let me know if you want to hear more about such videos, about life experience as a foreign student and later on also as an immigrant. I am now a citizen of Canada since 2008. I moved here in 2004 after being away for 11 years. And I want to encourage you and say, life is good. All those things that you worry about will take care of themselves. But before you reach a very good place in life, you will, I want to say, you will face a lot of challenges, mental challenges, cultural challenges, misunderstandings that people may not understand you. You know, you will be very quick at learning so many things about your environment in Canada, about the culture. But I felt that the people were not curious enough to learn about my culture. And so there was an imbalance. And you feel, you know what, they don't have an African culture, they don't understand you. And this could be for you also who is not necessarily an African. So you have to deal with a lot of things. So if you're going through a lot of those things at the moment as a newcomer in your foreign country, you will be okay. There is no shortcut. There isn't. So when I was 25 years old, I'd been in Canada a couple of years. I miss my mother. I really miss my mother, and I wish like, wow, mommy, I need you. I need you. Because the last couple of years, maybe 3 or 4, I had become my own mother, my own father, my own support. And so, and I was it was difficult for me to ask for help. It was very difficult. And this is one of the things that got on the way of my survival, actually. And my family was a giving family, is a giving family. And we never begged, we never asked for things. So we never learned that skill to how to ask for help. And I have had to learn that. And another thing, though, that stopped me from asking for help was I did not want to add to the feelings I had that Africans are poor, Africans are begging, Africans don't have anything, and that people would expect me to do the same thing. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, you know, we are not like that. I'm not used to that. I never grew up like that. And so I learned to depend on myself and not ask for help. And so, wow, I guess it's my ego. It was protection. I suffered a lot in that way, financially or in other ways. But I will close by saying, if you're going through difficult challenges as a newcomer, as a foreigner, the number one person you have to overcome is yourself, your pride, your ego. You know, you will know what I'm talking about. But those are the processes we have to go through to settle in a new country. So I think I'll live there. I will end here, and I wish you all the best. And until next time, bye.